शंभो शंकरा हर 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 महादेव राम। शिव शिव शंभो शंकरा हर 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 महादेव राम। शिव शिव शंभो शंकरा हर 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 महादेव राम। शिव शिव शंभो शंकरा हर 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 महादेव राम। शिव शिव शंभो शंकरा हर 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 महादेव राम। शिव शिव शंभो शंकरा हर 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 महादेव राम। शिव शिव शंभो शंकरा हर 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 महादेव राम। शंकरा हर हर महादेव राम। शिव शिव शंभो शंकरा हर 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 महादेव राम। शिव शिव शंभो शंकरा हर 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 महादेव राम। शिव शिव शंभो शंकरा हर 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 महादेव राम। शिव शिव शंभो शंकरा हर 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 महादेव राम। शिव शिव शंभो शंकरा हर 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 महादेव राम। शिव शिव शंभो शंकरा हर 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 महादेव राम। शिव शिव शंभो शंकरा हर 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 महादेव राम। शिव शिव शंभो शंकरा हर 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 महादेव राम। शिव शिव शंभो शंकरा हर 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 महादेव राम। शिव शिव शंभो शंकरा हर 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 महादेव राम। शिव शिव शंभो शंकरा हर 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 महादेव राम। शिव शिव शंभो शंकरा हर 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 महादेव। शिव शिव शंभो शंकरा हर 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 महादेव राम। शिव शिव शंभो शंकरा हर 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 महादेव राम। शिव शिव शंभो शंकरा हर 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 महादेव राम। शिव शिव शंभो शंकरा हर 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 महादेव। शिव शिव शंभो शंकरा हर 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 महादेव राम। कृष्ण गोविंद गोविंद गोपाला। 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 ओ भज मुरली मनोहर नंद लाला। भज मुरली मनोहर नंद लाला। कृष्ण गोविंद गोविंद गोपाला। 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 कृष्ण गोविंद गोविंद। हो भज मुरली मनोहर नंद लाला। हो भज मुरली मनोहर नंद लाला। कृष्ण गोविंद गोविंद गोपाला। 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 ओ भज मुरली मनोहर नंद लाला। ओ भज मुरली मनोहर नंद लाला। कृष्ण गोविंद गोविंद गोपाला कृष्ण गोविंद गोविंद गोपाला ओ कृष्ण गोविंद गोविंद गोपाला ओ कृष्ण गोविंद गोविंद गोपाला 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 श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा 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 श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासु हे बद्री नारायण वासुदेवा हे लक्ष्मी नारायण वासुदेवा हे बद्री नारायण वासुदेवा हे लक्ष्मी नारायण वासुदेवा श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा 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 श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा। बोलिए सर्वेश्वर भगवान की जय। सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः।
Well, welcome to Satsang, everyone. We'll begin, as always, with a question or two that have come in advance, and then I'll open it up to any questions that anyone here has. Please give us some insight into death and dying. It's really beautifully taught in the Indian spiritual tradition that until we know how to die, we don't know how to live. Most of us spend our entire lives focused on what am I going to do, what am I going to attain, what am I going to become, what will I earn, what will I do with this body, how to keep it beautiful, how to accessorize it, how to teach it all sorts of things, how to send it into the world and earn money from it, all of that. But we give very little thought ever to that which is not the body of us. The part of us, the truth of us, that's not the body. Which is why when illness and then death eventually come, it's so terrifying because it's like a failure of some sort. In the West, it's really interesting, actually. I'm from LA, and when I go back to LA to visit, wherever you drive, you're inundated with signs and advertisements for this will reverse aging, that will reverse aging, this is age defying, do this. As though somehow, if you're not reversing or defying your age, you're failing on some level. As though to age is in and of itself a failure. Whether we look at hair color or cosmetic surgery or all of the things that we do, it's really interesting because it's not just a matter of I prefer the color brown to gray. Gray is fine as far as sweaters go, skirts go, shawls go, caps go, mufflers go. But when it's my hair, well, it shouldn't be gray. It should be blonde or black or brown or whatever my hair color was, because somehow every gray hair, every wrinkle hits us as this failure on some level. I can't admit to myself, to the world, that I'm failing. And it's a really tragic situation we're in because, you know, as I always say, the only thing that is actually guaranteed in life is that you're going to get sick and die. It's the only guarantee that we have. You will definitely get sick. You will definitely die. But that which is for sure is the only thing that we push away so vehemently. Here in India, it's been such a blessing to be exposed to a different way of looking at aging. Where aging is respected, where instead of lying to make themselves look younger, people lie to make themselves look older. You know, where people are excited about gray hair coming because it carries with it a sense of respect and wisdom and honor. And where the elders, instead of being seen as, you know, the useless ones were sort of waiting to die or they're waiting to die, they're the precious ones. There's such an incredible respect for age here. And when we look actually at dying also, you know, I remember the very first time we were in Kathmandu on our way to Tibet to go to Lake Mansarovar. And I was walking, we were starting an arti. Puja Swamiji has this thing he does where wherever we go on the banks of rivers, he starts artis. Because what they do is they bring about a reverence in people for the water and gather people together. And so we were there on the banks of the Bhagawati River, and he had just 24 hours prior started an arti that we were going to do on the banks of the Bhagawati. And I was walking up the river, and right across the river are all the burning ghats. And corpses are being cremated, and the river is very narrow. Here Ganga is very wide, but the Bhagawati is much more narrow there. And I'm walking on the side up to where we're going to do the arti, and right across, maybe 15, 20 feet across the river, is the stench of 3, 4, 5 bodies burning on adjacent ghats. And as we did the arti, I was overcome with this feeling that has stayed with me when I came back here, because of course on Ganga, where you look out, if you're facing Ganga and you look a little bit to your left down river, is where in Rishikesh they burn people. Now, the river is much wider, the population is much less, but that experience of doing the arti, and the first time it happened, I thought, oh my God, those people must be so upset, outraged almost, at our audacity to be here singing and dancing and celebrating while they're mourning. You know, when you lose a loved one, it's almost inconceivable that the sun should have the audacity to rise and shine. You know, our world has stopped, and we therefore, on some level, expect that the rest of the world should stop. And I thought, God, they must be so hurt. But then I realized that that was purely my Western viewpoint of it, that only in the West do we put things in these boxes of this is a place for mourning, this is a place for celebration, this is a time for mourning, this is a time for celebration, this is pertaining to life, this is pertaining to death. And we create these very, very thick walls and boundaries around them. And here in India, on the banks of Ganga, the fire of the cremation is going, the fire of the arti is going. And it's a culture that is so much more healthily connected to the cycle of birth and death, that there is no place birth ends and death begins, no place celebration ends and mourning begins. It's all woven together into this tapestry. And I realized, you know, as I was watching it, that the flames from our arti, so the flames from our celebration that rise from our lamps, seem very separate from the flames of the cremation ground across the river. But that's only true while we're separated by this river. But the minute you go a couple of feet in the air, those flames are all rising together. And they mingle together. And barely a few feet above Ganga, there's no way to tease apart flame of celebration from flame of mourning. And I then developed a very personal meditation practice, which I offer to you. And it's a practice of every time we're doing arti, when there's a cremation going on. Usually I keep my eyes closed, and it's very easy to just slip into great bliss being there. But when I get there, if I see a cremation is going on, I purposely will keep my eyes open. And I'll meditate on that cremation while being in the arti. So it's not I'm there but not here. And the meditation is a challenge to the self of, can I be here and celebrating and there and mourning at the same time? Can I embody both beings? Because sure, today it's here I'm here celebrating. But tomorrow or the day after, it's going to be me over there mourning. And then me over there burning. And these distinctions really are the artificial stuff that our distinctions of where I end and you begin are made of. And so I do this meditation that's incredibly difficult, but incredibly powerful, of can I create enough space in my experience, in my awareness, for there to be celebration and mourning and burning at the same time. And when you can get that for just a moment, it cracks everything open. Because suddenly you realize, oh yeah, I am burning. I may not actually be burning in their fire, but I'm dying. We're all dying. Every moment, you're a minute closer to death. There is no one who is not dying. And it doesn't matter how old we are. We have no idea. Do we have 5 minutes left? 5 months left? 50 years left? No one knows. The only thing we know is that moment will come. And so, to deal with sickness and death, the only way is to create enough space in your experience of yourself. If your self is limited only to this body, then death is the end. Sickness is a threat of the end. Sickness is an assault, a violation of the sanctity, the autonomy of myself. How dare that bug, that bacteria, that virus attack me? Right? And you can think about the language we use, right? I'm waging war on the... No, you're not. There's bacteria all the time. Some of them make us sniffle and sneeze. Some of us, it makes us cough. Some of it makes it much worse. Some of it kills us. But can I experience myself as not just this body that has to keep everything else away? Can I experience myself as the divine that flows through me, as soul, as spirit, as energy, as essence, as consciousness, as love? Whatever word you want to use, whatever way feels right to you, it doesn't matter. They're different ways of describing the same phenomenon. Can I identify as that? Because that stays, even when you burn my body. That stays. It's the only thing that stays. And so the longer that I live identifying only as that which today or tomorrow is going to be burned or buried, the longer I fear death. And yet, because it's such a certainty, I'm having to literally live my life keeping truth at an arm's length. The gray hair, not just an aesthetic issue, it's an issue of, oh my God, you're dying. Hence, I must do everything I can to keep it away, to pretend that's not true. But if I can realize I'm dying, that every minute is grace, every minute is a gift, then how we live life changes dramatically. People say sometimes, oh, well, that's very depressing to think about. It's not depressing at all. It's empowering. Because it changes how we live. If I have to live keeping the truth at an arm's length away, pushing it away, that's depressing. If a gray hair or a wrinkle is the end of me, that's depressing. What's empowering is to realize, yeah, I have a body, and the body is made of matter, and matter degenerates in my body as with everything else in the world at relatively predictable rates. But I'm not my body. I am my soul. Can take it a step further. I am soul. Not even individual ones. Just soul. A temporary wave of the ocean. And when I can realize that, then there's nothing left that I have to keep at an arm's length, nothing I'm afraid of, nothing I have to push away. Which actually means that I can live in a way that is so much more real, so much more true, so much more eyes opened. So it's very empowering. But in order to be empowered, we have to take the very first step of recognizing I'm not my body. And so death isn't the end. When fasting for God or the Guru, does it need to be on a specific day, or is it okay to fast any day? Also, please speak more about why we should fast. So we'll take this and then I'll open it up to questions here. It definitely doesn't have to be on any day. People in India frequently will fast one day of the week. Each day is dedicated to a different embodiment of the divine. And so depending on people's personal, spiritual connection to different aspects of the divine, they'll fast on that day. But really the point of fasting is two things. One is it's actually very healthy for you. Science is now actually saying that fasting is really, really good. But I don't want to go into that, because that you can just Google and find online. There's lots of science on the physical benefits of fasting. But spiritually, the word we use for fasting is upwas. Now, upwas literally means sitting near to. That's what the word means, sitting near to. Near to what? Near to God. That's the point of fasting. It's not about self-deprivation. It's about staying light and staying connected. If I'm fasting on Tuesday, let's say. I'm a Hanuman Bhakt, and Tuesday is Hanuman's day, and so I'm fasting on Tuesday. Well, when I'm hungry, it reminds me, normally when I'm hungry, I just eat. But if I'm fasting and my stomach growls, I remember, oh, I'm fasting for Hanuman. And then suddenly my whole being is filled with remembrance of Hanuman, of his qualities, of his characteristics, of his virtues, of all of that that I would love to emulate in my life. Whereas normally I could go a whole day without thinking about Hanuman. Sadly, but it's true. But if I'm fasting, then suddenly, every time I get hungry, it reminds me, oh yeah, I'm fasting. And then whatever aspect of the divine, and it doesn't, of course, have to be a separate aspect. It can just be the divine, because it's all one. So don't worry if you don't have a particular aspect of the divine that's closest to you. But remember, this isn't about a crash diet. It's not about squeezing into a dress or a pair of pants or making a weight cut off or something like that. It's about making ourselves light. Because when we are light, it's easier to connect. It's easier to connect with the divine. It's why, in addition to the morts of the time, it's why first thing in the morning is easier to meditate than after a heavy breakfast. Food is fantastic for the body, but it tends to dull a bit our meditative experiences. And so when we're light, it tends to make that experience much easier. But here's what's important. The entire point of fasting in that way is about being light, remembering God, slowing down. And it's not just what we eat, it's also what we do, it's what we're listening to, what we're reading. Puja Swamiji always speaks about a fast for the senses. And so that which we read, that which we see online, that which we hear, that which we speak, I may be restricting my intake of food. But if I'm going online and I'm watching pornography or I'm, whatever it may be, I'm not fasting. I'm just hungry. And they're different. And so it's important on the day that we fast, whether it's once a week, once a month, whenever it is, that we really make it a fast for the senses so that all of my senses can be connected to God. And we stay light. And so sometimes people eat fruit, sometimes they'll drink milk, sometimes people do just water with lemon and honey. We all have different physical constitutions, and that which one person can do may be difficult for others. But it's important to take in the bare minimum that you need. If you can go on just water with lemon and honey, that's the best. If you need to take some fruit juice, take some fruit juice. But an interesting thing has started happening in India, which is the concept of falhar, which is literally a diet of fruit. But what they've done is they've taken all sorts of things that aren't exactly fruit, as in like a juicy thing that you peel and bite into, but that don't actually fall into the category of grains. And they make puris and pakoras and all sorts of things out of them. And I remember actually when I had first come to India, and I didn't actually know anything about this, but it was Ekadashi, which is a day that many people fast. And I was sitting in the dining hall next to someone who had a plate full of puris and pakoras and potatoes and some kind of very buttery looking sauce that was kind of glistening. And I had the regular meal of a chapati and some dal and some vegetable. And he looks over at me and he says, "You're not fasting?" And I was so confused because, coming from the West, a fast meant you didn't eat. I knew lots of people who did juice fasts, mainly for a health purpose rather than a spiritual purpose. But it was absolutely inconceivable to me that this plate of all sorts of fried things and whatnot, and I couldn't even really answer him because I didn't have any idea what to say other than just, no. And he kind of scoffed like I was this, low being. And we ate the rest of the meal in silence. But it stayed with me as this really confusing experience until I started asking people what that might have meant. And they explained to me all about falhar. And now you can get literally like falhar pizza dough. And, the point being that there's nothing wrong with grains that are made of things other than grains. It's great. It's fantastic if you're gluten-free. It's fantastic if you're looking at other health alternatives. But it's not a fast in the deepest meaning of what a fast is for. If your goal is to fast and to be close to God and to be light, do it with that which keeps you light. There's no benefit to be gained by cutting corners on your spiritual practice. We've gotten so used to thinking that, people won't know and I can just skimp by. Well, God knows. obviously. I mean, if God doesn't know, it's not God. And so I'm a big proponent of truth. And so by all means, eat all the falhard you want to eat, no problem. But if we're really doing something as a spiritual practice, let's keep it that way. Do what you need to do to stay light, to stay focused on God, to stay remembering God. And again, if the body needs some fruit juice or whatever, by all, take it. But keep the goal, the ultimate purpose pure, or there's no point doing it at all. Nobody says you have to fast. But whatever we do, let's do it sincerely and actually gain whatever the deepest benefits of it are for us on a physical level, on a spiritual level. So with that, I'm happy to open it up to any questions that anyone here might have. Yes? Okay, that's okay. Beautiful, beautiful question. So what is it that happens when women start menstruating that makes them, as you say, dirty or impure? It's a question that is more than just about menstruation. So I'll take it in both ways, because there is a very specific issue about menstruation in terms of the days on which you are menstruating. And then there is the broader issue of women in general. So let's take the broad one first. There is absolutely, undeniably, a tragic gap between the highest fundamental teachings of our spirituality, of our culture even, not just of the scriptures, but even of the culture itself, which of course is interwoven with the spirituality, that worships the feminine. In the scriptures, in the holidays, in the practices. You look at even how our prayers are, right? And how we refer to the divine. We always say Sitaram, Radha Krishna. Right? So it's always the name of the female first. The prayers Twameva Mata, Chapita Twameva, right? You are the mother, then you are the father. So wherever you look, it's always women first. There's this incredible reverence of the divine. Until and unless she appears before you in form. Which is, it would be funny if it weren't so tragic. And the only explanation that I can give is that it is a tragedy of society. It's definitely not something with relation to the spirituality. There's nowhere in the scriptures that says anything other than the reverence for women. But sadly, here in India, like in every other country of the world, with scriptures that may not say exactly that, but certainly scriptures that say things like, love thy neighbor as thyself. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I mean, every religion has its core tenets, if not of reverence for, at least for respect for, caring for others. And yet, nonetheless, we see violence. We see war, we see terrorism, we see rape, we see all of that. And the only explanation really that I have is that the farther we get from our core spiritual traditions, the more we lose. The more we lose internally in our own lives, and the more we become burdens on society. Because those who hurt others, whether you're a terrorist or whether you're just someone who's gossiping or spreading lies or criticizing someone and everything in between, it only comes from a place of emptiness and pain within you. People who are full of love share love. That's why we really like to be around people who are happy, because we feel happy around them. We share what we have. And so those who are harming, denigrating, belittling, obviously killing, but not limited only to killing, others, all others, not just women, are those who are in pain, living separate from the core fundamental teachings of their own tradition, living separate from the core fundamental teachings of just being a good human being. And so they're living separate from the core of their own truth. And that's really the only explanation that I can give, because there is no excuse. Sure, we could do a historical and sociological and anthropological look at the treatment of women in India and, write a report or a book or something on it. But that's just a description of what has happened, rather than a deep reason why it could happen. And why is it still happening? And why are people who go to temple and pray to the Devi still walking out and allowing society to be run in this way? And I don't have an answer to that, except to say it's a tragedy. And it's something that, there's a lot going on in our world today that requires us to be the change. One of the things I always emphasize in situations like this is being spiritual does not mean how can I find so much peace with whatever's going on that I don't have any interest in changing anything or doing anything. That's not what spirituality means. Spirituality connects us so deeply, as I was saying on the Ghat, to the Creator and therefore to all of creation, that of course I'm going to work, of course I'm going to serve, of course I'm going to stand up for what's right. But instead of doing it from a place of anger and fury and blindness, which just gets us into, we're each picketing on opposite sides of the street, we end up with laryngitis and nothing else happens during the course of the day except we manage to hold up traffic and lose our voice. So that doesn't actually achieve anything. In order to really be effective agents of change, I have to be grounded and anchored in who I am, in the peace of me, that I'm not run by anger, I'm not fueled by anger. I'm fueled by a sense of self being injured. And in the same way that if my foot were caught in a doorway or caught under my bed or caught under a car tire, I would certainly do everything in my power to get it out because it really hurt. and I would work on that, in the same way, the people of this world, I would go further. I would say the animals of this world. I would say the rivers, the trees of this world that are being injured are us. So on the broader aspect of how can we worship the Devi and have a society that keeps women down with such societal approval, the only answer is deep disconnect. Because the minute I'm deeply connected, I can't do both those things. Lastly, though, on the specific issue with regard to menstruation, it, of course, I believe, is part of the way to keep women down. Because if we can make it an illness, if we can make women have to stay home, well, it's really hard to excel in school when you have to miss 4 or 5 days of school every month. It's really hard to run a company when you have to stay home 4 or 5 days a month. And so it becomes a tool to keep women down. Now, that being said, there is something energetically that shifts in women when they are on their period, that if you are attuned enough to yourself, you will feel it, but that I actually have proof on because the enlightened saints, the ones who have really, really done their sadhana, actually can tell. They know. I mean, like, you enter the room and they know. There's an energetic shift. Not that it's bad. It has nothing to do with good or bad. Simply a shift, but an energetic shift that is profound enough that for those who are really deep sadhaks, they can tell. What that means for us as women is, and you know, historically, I believe that one of the reasons that the sages and the rishis who were not looking to keep women down at all, they were the ones who gave us the scriptures that was all about women are the divine, and you know, where women are adored, that's where the gods are happy. Like, the rishis and sages gave us that. But they also gave practices of, while a woman is menstruating, that she should not be in the kitchen, and that she should be, you know, sort of resting alone. Now, I deeply believe, and I've spoken to a lot of people who have much more knowledge about Indian history than I do who have said this, is that the reason that the rishis gave that is not because the woman was sick or there was something impure about it or wrong, but actually to give the women 4 days a month off. That to give her time to just catch her breath. That the women particularly in traditional rural village India, are the ones who from long before sunrise to long after sunset are constantly working. And to have 4 days a month where the husband thinks, no, she can't cook my food, because otherwise he's not going to give her a break. And so if the rishis say, don't let her touch anything. So there's actually a lot of, and I haven't studied it in any sort of actual research way, but I could tell you a lot of anecdotal evidence from people I deeply respect and trust, that that's actually why the rishis gave that. was to give her time to rest. But it is also important to remember that our energy is different, and that, interestingly, indigenous peoples of lots of traditions, Native Americans, for example, the women would go. There was like a hut that the women on their periods, they called it their moon cycle, would go to. Now, it was a time of celebration. It was nothing about impurity or you're down or you're sick or nothing like that. Girls would wait to start their moon cycle to be able to go up and spend the days in the hut. But the point being that nonetheless there was an awareness that the energy is different. That the energy is very, very powerful, and the shift is very powerful, and that it is a time in which, if women can use that energy internally rather than dissipating it, it's a very, very, very powerful time for her. Yeah. Wonderful. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. As I mentioned last night, I will sadly not be here for the next few weeks, unless